is where we would be getting on the 5-step test down an agency and scale an agency in 2026. Now this video will be going through the parameters that have left. Thanks for your overwhelming response on our last video. If you haven't checked out the last video of the series, it's still down in the description. You can find the video. Now let's head over to my screen and talk about the next method to scale clients. What we have learned in our last video, or what we have been going through our last video, is we went on the growth lever. How do you play across the pricing and don't make the mistakes that you have made in 2025. Now next is you have to build teams for operations. An agency really scales when your operations are right, which means you have people allotted for each and everything. Now for marketing, here is how our actual structure looks like. Now, you could make your own structures, but this is how our own structure looks like. So we have for marketing multiple teams. So one, we have a media buying team. Okay, media buying team. Then we have an outbound team. Okay, then we have a calling team. Okay, calling and appointment setting team. Then we have a social media team, like just like which team which produces videos like this. We have a social media team. Then you also need somebody who handles a lot of automations, because these days you send out social media emails, you send marketing campaigns, you send email campaigns, you send automation campaigns, you send out a lot of WhatsApp campaigns. There's so many ways you touch point a customer. In order to be and getting the best results for your clients, it is very important that you understand the different places of reaching out. And in order to do that, when you're scaling your agency, you need to have a marketing department. Now, don't compare or don't associate your marketing with sales. That's a very big mistake that most of the teams do. For them, marketing is people knowing you. Your marketing team's main responsibility is to generate interest, get brand awareness, get clarity, like whatever service you are selling for your clients or for yourself. The people need to have clear clarity on the messaging, on the graphic, on the video, on the asset that comes down from your agency. So your marketing team is basically there to generate lead. Your marketing team is basically there to generate interest. And then you have a sales team which does the closing. But most of you make this prime mistake of associating your marketing team with your sales team, which is not a good tracking figure. Imagine your company's revenue is like a tree. Okay. On those trees, you get a fruits, you sell those fruits and you make money. Your marketing department is just like the water, is just like the sunlight, which actually comes onto that plant and helps it to grow. But your sales team is the branches, is the complete tree that holds together the fruit that comes out of it. Your sales team plays a very important role, but you cannot deny the fact that marketing has a very big thing. And now I tell my marketing teams a lot. It's more about understanding our brand first, communicating our brand value first, and then you build a thing. So if I would be building out an agency in 2026, I'll be having a media buying team, or basically if I'm suggesting something out to my competitors, not my competitors, or basically people who are watching videos like this, you need to have a media buying team. You need to have outbound team. This is something which is for which you could have SDRs. Okay. What do you mean by SDRs? SDRs are people that reach out on behalf of you. Now there is a lot of concepts that I can go to, which is top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, but I won't get into that. But you need to have a separate media buying team and outbound team. Now, a lot of people confuse that a SDR's job is also to close a lead. No, it is to an extent rightly possible, but a job of an SDR, which is a sales development representative, in most SaaS companies, in most education companies, your role is to actually get a right lead with the most available up-to-date information, enriched with all the data that you have got from the business, and then passed it on to the sales team. If you try to close a customer before even knowing about their requirements, if you try to close a customer before even understanding their brand, then it is not going in the right direction. So you need to have an outbound team that does qualification. Next is a calling and appointment setting team. Most probably in most agencies, you already have tons of leads. Specifically if you're operating a business in B2C category, you would always have a lot of lead in your funnel. Your job as a founder, or your job as somebody who's running this business, is to make sure that each and every call is valuable. Each and every lead is valuable. A job of a marketing team is also classify the leads that they have got from the sales team. If they haven't converted to buy a product, into right brackets and into right differentiation. Like some leads won't buy right away after talking with you, but some leads would buy from you after 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, or when you have helped them to solve X, Y, and Z problem. So your calling and appointment teams are basically the teams that make sure that if you have been getting a very high volume of lead, they manage it, they give it to the people, they give it to the SDRs, they give it to the AEs, which are account executives, which are primarily responsible to convert a lead at the right moment, at the right time, with the enough information. Okay, you need to have a social media team these days to make a lot of content. Okay, though I'm not a big fan of content, but for me, content is basically the variation in ads. How many variation can I bring in my ads? How many options can I bring in my ads? That's the thing that I would look for. So that's a team. And then you need an automation team. If you have like those videos where you put a comment out and you get a reply, or you get like your lead form, your lead flows, all those coming in, that all comes down into your marketing and operations team. Now come back to sales operations. So if you're building an agency, here is how a structure looks like. There is usually a project manager for most of the projects in an operation. So I believe there is, let's say, a client one, I would say like this. There is project manager one, there is a project manager two, and each project manager one manages five client at any given moment of time. So each client is managing 5 clients here. So if I go here like this, so there is something called as, we follow a structure here called as pod. So example, if I take a pod, which is, let's say, a project manager one, okay, this is how a pod should look like. First of all, there is also somebody called as project coordinator. Why do you need to have all this flows? You don't need this flows when you're just getting started out. You need this flows when you want to scale, when you want to do the things in the right direction, when you need more support, more help from people. And as a founder, where your sole job is to ensure that you do a lot of calls, you do a lot of sales, you need a team that basically tracks what the communication between the client and the team is going after. So there is usually a project manager who manages 5 clients. A project manager has a project coordinator. A project coordinator is basically like an assistant to a project manager. They might have video editors working under him. So example, there are 2 video editors, okay, working for a specific project manager. Okay. Similarly, there are 1 social media marketer working for one SMM girl working with 1 editor. There is 1 development guy working with that project manager. So you need to have a whole clarity. So this guy manages a whole team. Now, the reason you need to have it is, usually what happens is, in most agency, the structure of operations looks like this. Okay, there is a operations structure. This is how usually everything looks like in an agency. So there is an operations structure, and this is the operations structure looks like. It comes to founder. Okay, then the founder is having, let's say, editors, marketers, sales, technical guys, and actually there is no way these guys intertwine. The only reasoning of intertwining, or the only way the information is passed from top to bottom, is because of this founder. So editor को कोई changes चाहिए, वो sales वाले के पास ना जाके वो जाएगा founder के पास. Okay, that's how people like to do the things. Okay, like they don't have a structure in their agency. So what we do is, we always recommend that once you're scaling operations, you can also have your projects managers. I can also put it down in one more video. Your project manager's responsibility. Okay, so he needs to have client satisfaction, which means client is fully satisfied. Okay, you can have like a NPS review. The more the client is retained, which means you somehow align your project manager's pay, or basically the commission, by making sure how much is that retainer coming along for you. Okay, or how much the client is getting retained. The most important thing for a project manager is to make sure he gets maximum out of the team with the minimum mistake. People make a mistake that the amount of mistakes that they do in a project is quite high. So when you do a setup like this and you incentivize the project manager so that he makes less issues, he creates less objections, or he just does the things in a better manner and he gets compensated for that, that's how the best structure works. So now for sales. Okay, so sales is pretty common. As I told you, there are 3 levels of how we work in our sales. One is BDR, one is SDR, one is AE, and usually project managers are also part of sales. And you would be like, Devvrat, why project managers are part of sales? because the reason we say them and they are a part of our sales, project managers are part of our sale, is once a client is converted, our BDRs, which are business development representatives, sales development reps, and account executives. Account executives are the final people who make a decision to do calls, and project managers. You cannot, it is easier to sell to a client. Remember this. It is easiest to sell to a client who has bought and trusted from you before rather than from somebody who is just understanding you. So in our team, we have a heavy focus on selling to our existing clients and getting maximum results out for leadership. Okay, so your teams are you need people who guide you. Okay, these are the people like consultants who are really good at doing one thing. Example, we have a mentorship program where we highly focus on just getting results for agency owners and freelancers just like you. So consultants or external experts. Okay, external experts. You cannot grow a company just with this sheer amount of knowledge you have. You can also go for events. Okay, physical events, offline events, online events, whatever you think is right or wrong. You could also go for leadership, but you need to keep on, if your agency needs to really grow, you need to keep on investing in your leadership, in your own learning, in your own leadership, for people that are there in your company who are ranking the ranks up. So there's usually a very big debate that you should have a really talented person coming from outside in your agency and taking over the things, or you should make your talent like getting up and nurtured to climb the ladder. Well, I do not oppose any one of it. Sometimes the best way to grow an agency or any business is having one external help who has been doing the same thing for a long time, combining it with someone who's already in your team, who knows about your business, who knows about your brand, and then that skill that you bring is like next level. Most agency owners think that doing their agency or giving that services is the only lever to make money. Well, in 2026 you can have multiple levers to increase AOV. What is AOV? Which is your average order value, or what is the simplest thing is lifetime value of a customer. Most agency owners think that okay, the biggest way to make more money is making sure that I charge higher to a client. Well, I would say, if in case you could make maximum out from a client by giving different services, clubbing, changing, placing a lot of services to the same client, you could actually make higher. Most service providers and business owners that I meet, they are always on that hustle to changing the next client. While what we are doing right away in this year is we are increasing the chances of how could we make more revenue and put a client in an ecosystem where every content of that ecosystem or every connect that he has, from building an app. So we are building apps that would help you analyze your ads account result. Previously we used to use a combination of tools to achieve this. Previously we also used to give do the setups on the client's GHL account. Now what we have started doing is we used to give snapshots and accounts, sub accounts that are preloaded with all information of how our process works, our system works. What it helps us to achieve is I can then, when I was doing the things initially, I was just charging the client my service fee. But now I'm charging him for consultations. I'm charging him for a SaaS. I am charging him for the weekly calls we do. I'm also charging him for the automations that we have built. I would do all this by combining three important factors: consulting, affiliate, and SaaS. Which means I would build some tools that are hyper focused, and building tools these days with apps like Lovable, Emergent, or anything else is easiest of all. So first I'll build tools. Second, I would introduce a framework of consulting. My clients are not only paying me money to implement the things, but I'll also, because I need results from their team, I need to train their team out. I need to train the founders out. Sometimes everything is right, but the founder's vision is wrong. Sometimes everything is right, but you just don't have clarity on how to scale. Some things everything is right, but it's just in your head that you need to clear some fog out. So what we do is we do introduce a lot of consulting. This consulting is for their team. This consulting is for the founders. And consulting increases your level to make money much higher. And finally, affiliate. My clients use a lot of tools. What if I introduce them to a lot of tools that they could use by replacing the tools that they are currently overpaying for? Remember this, when you're building out an agency, just don't build it from the services revenue point of view, but just look at more holistically, where you have been revenue coming from consulting, your softwares, your agency service fee, and then your affiliate stuff as well. So those four quadrants needs to hit them. The highest thing you could do is, and maybe if you want to take the biggest feedback from today's this YouTube video, making highest revenue per client is more important than making that same $1,500 from 10 clients. You need to build, you need to scale, you need a system to make at least $5,000 to $8,000 from per client. So you don't need to keep on chasing. Get a share in their business, get like a royalty in their business to scale. And finally, document all the process. This video also serves like a documentation for my team, the framework that I would follow in 2026. Build your agency in a manner that you are ready to sell it tomorrow. Because if you don't build it, you cannot sell an agency. There are really great some that agencies get offered when you have one niche, you have great results in that niche, and when that agency can run without the founder. And there have been constant examples for that. So build everything that you do today in a manner that you are going to sell this agency tomorrow. Record every single sales call, which we do to a very wide extent. Record every single closing, have an FAQ section, and record every process of research. Sometimes the founders are very good at building proposals. How do you do that proposal? What is the base of that? Oh, how can I create a GPT prompt to make it easier? You could record every single sales call because every single sales call is unique, and you could then provide or build like a SOP or a library of all your sales call recording where you put out this sales call recording is good, this is bad. So what you need to do is record everything that you always see. Have an FAQ section. What is an FAQ section? This is not the section that you put on a site, but what are the commonly asked 100 questions in your agency? From the operations point of view, from the sales point of view, and from a lot of point of view. So you have, from an agency point of view, from the operations point of view, from the sales point of view, what are the top questions you get? And those 100 questions needs to be written down, feed it into a custom GPT. So the next time that same questions come to your team, they could ask and go for that GPT and answer all the questions. So this was a 6-step process of scaling an agency in 2026. I have added a form down below in the video. In case you fill out that form, you'll be added into our community. And that form also contains the information to download this exact mind map. Go forward, give your information, get access to our coaching program, and download this information right away. Have a good day.